I'm with the Business Press. We're here at the International Trade and Business Expo at the Ontario Convention Center. Things are winding down. We're going to now talk with Ross Duvall, who gave the keynote address today. Interesting, Ross, talking a lot about sort of our position as California and as even the in terms of where we fit in terms of research and development and workforce and in capital investment and various different facets like that. We obviously have a really tough time right now with the economy and the conditions in the state government, but you offered up a couple positions that we should continue to leverage in terms, for example, of R&D. Let's talk about R&D and the potential of the Inland Empire and how we fit into that R&D picture in California.
Well, obviously we're going through a very challenging economic period and we're still suffering the after effects from that. The good news is that trade activity, especially as it relates to the Inland Empire, has picked up again. Exports are up over 30% from a year ago. And you have to understand that the exports that California ships to the rest of the world, and Southern California as well, are very technologically intensive. So we're talking about computer chips, we're talking about all types of different technology products, communications equipment. And those exports are not just on a boat, they're on a plane as well. And here we're sitting in Ontario, which is one of the leaders in this logistics infrastructure and the R&D that takes place behind it. California still remains one of the leading innovators in the world, and especially in converting those innovations into new products that can be shipped around the world. The Intels, the Googles, the Ciscos, we're one of the leaders in the world.
You also talked about the importance of higher education, advanced degrees, how those folks tend to stay close to where they go to college, tend to be entrepreneurial nearby. So it's obviously imperative, especially in a place like the Inland Empire that doesn't have the advanced degrees of LA or the Silicon Valley or things like that. But yet the percentage of even students with bachelors is going to continue to go down by just the huge population growth we've seen in the past decade and what we're going to continue to see. How does the Inland Empire balance that challenge? You can't educate everybody.
No, you can't. The challenge really is getting to second and third generation Latinos. There's still an educational attainment gap. When you look at the percent of the adult population with a bachelor's degree or above, Latinos are way below Asians, they're way below white Caucasians. And that is really our challenge, is getting the parents to understand that as we're moving to an innovation-based economy, that investment in human capital is ever more critical. So I think one of the challenges and also yet an opportunity is recognizing that if we can get to these kids at a younger age, having them be aware that the opportunities in the 21st century economy relate to the knowledge that's embedded in you, that is acquired, and that is essential for maintaining job growth and wages for a middle-class California.
Sure. So how does the region, regionalism is easy to talk about from a policy perspective, from a local government perspective, even a private-public partnership, really wicked hard to achieve. But it seems like the Inland Empire really does have an opportunity. We have space, we have, we could perhaps be a little more agile than some of the coastal counties. How does the Inland Empire seize that opportunity? What are some of the key steps that we need to take as a region?
Well, I've often said that the Inland Empire is more like Texas than it is like coastal California, because the business climate, the attitude towards businesses is trying to figure out through the connections, how do we make something happen? How do you figure out how to get a bicycle part to China within 2 days after it's ordered? And that is really about the facilitation that's present here and having a uniform message and a vision that's shared amongst all the players, all the way from government to the businesses to the universities and colleges that are involved here. It's really about that connectivity and willingness to collaborate in trying to solve problems, and recognizing that despite not having the leading research universities, you can be connected to Southern California and to coastal Southern California and still collect the advantages of being in proximity to them.
Sure. Yeah, and just from a world presence like Lucas Oil, which is based in Corona, talks about just the need to be near Southern California, if for no other reason than when when big international companies come here, well, they'll fly to LA and, all right, so it's an hour drive to, Corona. It's not like you're flying to the middle of Indiana. There really is a presence here. Actually, I lived in North Texas, in one of the communities that ranked real up high on your list for a long time. I don't know that same mentality could exist in California with the state government and the sort of adversarial business environment role. I mean, how do we get people to understand that economy and environment aren't mutually exclusive, and that we can come up with a sustainable, system of development that's good for all?
Well, it is a challenge, especially in Sacramento at the statewide level. It just seems to me that any legislation, regulations, needs to be viewed from the prism of how does this affect business? How does this affect the ability of business to create jobs? Through job creation and the taxes that are generated on the basis of those jobs, you can help protect the environment. But if you don't help businesses grow, there's very little environmental protection that can take place because you can't afford to do it. And so they are mutually embedded with each other.
Yeah, actually somebody at the session we were at last week suggested that California does need an EPA, but it needs to be an economic protection agency.
There's a lot of truth in that.
Yes. All right, well, we've been visiting with Ross Duvall, who does economic research for the Milken Institute. I'm Nels Jensen with the Business Press. Thank you very much.